To their first quarterfinals and will face Portugal after they blew out Switzerland 6-1. Reached the quarterfinals for the first time since 2006. Coverage begins Saturday, 9 Eastern on Fox. I will be waking up early once again. All right, let's transition to some American football. Lamar Jackson, unfortunately, he left Sunday's win against the Broncos in the first quarter. Reports say he has a sprained PCL. I hate the word sprain. It means it's partially torn. This is an injury that often sideline players 1 to 3 weeks. Shady, I'm coming to you, big dog. You've been a fan of Action Jackson for a long time. Will continue to be.
That's right.
How costly is Lamar Jackson's injury?
Costly from the contract, from the team. Which way are we going?
Whichever way you want to go, big dog.
You know what? It sucks, man, because he gambled on himself, right? He wanted to make some extra money. Then he gets hurt. He hasn't had the best year, but they're still solid enough. Let some fourth quarter leads, go away. So hopefully he just gets back. Hope he gets back healthy, at least 90% before he comes back, because I think they'll make the playoffs, right? They had a tough opponent this week with the Steelers. They go either way. I just hope he gets back, because if he can't get back, then it's going to be super costly. And I don't want to see that. If it gets too costly, then he loses a lot of money.
Dave Hellman.
See, I'll keep saying this. I'm not worried about Lamar's earning potential. And I'll steal Joy's talking point a little bit. If you can let go of the idea that he was never going to get the $250 million contract, he'll be fine. He's going to, this isn't a season-ending injury. He's still a fantastic player. Even though he hasn't been great this year, he's been good enough that it reinforces my opinion that he's worth paying. Right. So you're probably heading toward a situation where he gets franchise tagged. Or, if I were the Ravens, I would franchise tag him. I don't want to let that guy walk out the door because somebody else will definitely pay him. So, I'm not worried about Lamar Jackson, his financial future. I don't think this is that costly. I'm just worried about the Ravens. We kind of touched on this toward the end of the show yesterday. They're just not that good, man. They weren't when he was healthy. And I just don't think they have that much. You lose Rashad Bateman. You've had your tight ends in and out of the lineup. Ronnie Stanley's been in and out of the lineup. What are the offensively? Their defense has been nice, but what do the Ravens do well on offense? To this point, it's just been please, Lamar, do something for us. And now he's hurt. And yeah, even if he comes back, I love that you said that. Sprain means partially torn PC. Zeke Elliott had this injury, and I know it's a different position, but he had this injury last year, and he looked like a shell of himself because he's got a partially torn ligament in his knee. He's not going to be the same guy. And so an offense that already was really struggling, I have a hard time believing is going to get any better. And so maybe the Ravens make the playoffs just because they already have a good record, but it's hard to feel good about where they're going right now.
Yeah, and while they don't play the same position, obviously Lamar is a dual-threat quarterback, and him being able to run is a big part of his game. So if that is hindered in any way, on top of the fact that their offense hasn't been that inspiring, this is something to be worried about. I'm with you. I don't consider this to be a shot to his earning potential because I never believed the $250 million guaranteed was a plausible thing. I don't think that the owners are going to do it, particularly the one owner who said he didn't like the $230 million guaranteed. So that's $20 million more. We're doing math here, and I don't think that's going to happen. So it has nothing to do with Lamar Jackson being worth it or any of these star quarterbacks being worth it because they probably are. Athletes who are in salary cap leagues are generally underpaid when you really get into the value of what they bring to organizations. But that's how the structure of the business is set up. So I don't think he lost $250 million because in my mind it was never on the table to begin with. And I don't think he's going to lose whatever they offered him in space of that either. So to me, this is part of the game. Guys get injured. Lamar Jackson maybe is on the higher end of the injuries because he's a more mobile quarterback, but he happens to be the most dynamic at that position in the league and could be argued of all time. He's in that conversation. So I don't want to take that away from his game just because it can potentially cause injury. So it sucks for this year. But again, I think my version of what the Ravens were going to be this year has played out much differently. And it might be a message to the Ravens that they need to take getting some weapons on the offensive side more seriously in the offseason.
I'm so torn on that. I hate when people try to act as if the Ravens haven't tried to help Lamar. Let me first address how costly it is. I agree with everybody here. I don't think the biggest damage that Lamar's injury will do is to his pocketbooks, no. I actually believe it's most costly to the narrative of the style of play Lamar Jackson plays. That's the real cost. Everybody has been, since Lamar Jackson got into the league, and by everybody, I mean several people in positions of power, have been trying to say, man, you can't win like this. You can't win with quarterbacks that run. We haven't seen it happen before. Even people who try to say Steve Young. When Steve Young finally won, he was was not a dominant runner. Go back and check for yourself. Now that you see Lamar Jackson get injured, I think people are going to say, I told you so. And I hate when you have to hear that. Because truth be told, Lamar Jackson, he didn't get hurt running, but he got hurt because of his excessive ability to escape. Lamar Jackson knows he can outrun you. So rather than getting rid of the ball immediately, he's like, oh, I'm just going to see if I can tuck it and run. That's how he got hurt this week. Last year against the Cleveland Browns, he didn't get hurt scrambling. No, he got hurt backpedaling because he's so athletic, he can backpedal and get rid of the rock. Completed the pass to Mark Andrews against the Browns last year when he got hurt. But still, because of his athleticism, he gets hurt. Year before, against the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, he gets hurt once again because of his athleticism. Not necessarily running, but when you know you can run, you don't have to get rid of it as quickly. I think the biggest damage, Shady, was to the narrative of the style of play Lamar plays. Because quarterbacks or coaches or general managers are looking around and they're like, oh, Justin Fields has a whole bunch of highlights, but Justin Fields also has been hurt. Oh, Kyler Murray, great highlights, but man, Kyler got hurt. So I think the biggest damage actually comes to the narrative of that style.
See, I think differently, right? The guys you talked about, they're not winners. There's only one quarterback that's been winning better than Lamar Jackson.
Mahomes.
That's Patrick Mahomes. Lamar's like 45-16. Like, he's a winner. I think even with this injury might be a blessing. Like, you need to pay this dude because without him, right, they're a bad team. 1-4 without Lamar out there. I mean, last year they were #1 seed. Then he gets hurt. Then there's no playoffs. Every quarterback is going to get hurt. Every player is going to get hurt. That's the name of the game.
Sure.
Right?
But this consistently? This consistently.
All them guys get hurt, though. Like Josh Allen.
Mahomes got hurt that one season.
Okay, so I'm not going to use Mahomes. I'm going to use more of Josh Allen.
Okay.
Because they play similar. Josh Allen and Lamar play similar.
Yes, sir.
Josh gets hurt. Josh missed games.
But he don't miss games like that, Coach.
I wouldn't say that Lamar is injury prone. I don't think he hits that mark yet, right? I think he has a couple, games he's missed. He's been hurt, but everybody gets hurt. That's the name of the game. I just think that, listen, you got a guy like this, sign him up. He ain't been missing a whole bunch of seasons. Like, he don't miss every other year.
I don't know. I think we need to do a little more research before we really get into the running part of it causing injuries. I mean, Baker Mayfield is not a runner. He's been injured a lot. Jimmy Garoppolo, not a runner, injured a lot. Joe Burrow is certainly physically capable of running. I would not call him a run-first quarterback. He got injured, missed a significant amount of time with an injury, knee injury. So, I mean, we can go down the list of guys who have missed significant amount of time who are not necessarily running quarterbacks. We may end up finding out through the research that the quarterbacks that stay in the pocket get hurt more because they get hit harder. So I can't lean to he's an injury-prone quarterback. And we don't even know how much time he's going to miss. He might miss 1 week.
Yeah.
I don't think he's injury prone, but all you have to do, like we all have talked about, turn on the tape and you see his injuries aren't because he's running. His injuries are because he knows he can run.
Because he's holding on to the ball.
So he holds on to the ball a little bit longer. That's why he gets hurt.
But so that also opens him up to make incredible
bingo.
plays.
It absolutely does. So, but now the question comes to, is the risk worth the reward?
And the answer is yes.
If you're a statue because you can't run in the pocket, then you get hit too. Yeah. But it's just you're getting hit because you can't get the ball out because you can't run.
The difference is I look at Tom Brady and I look at the Tuas and I look at all those things.
Let's look at Josh, though. That's more of his. I think Josh plays way more reckless than Lamar.
Absolutely.
Josh runs like
and Tua is not a good example.
You know what I'm saying?
Because Tua, you see now, even against the Niners, Tua now, after that concussion, he's like, oh, I got to get the ball out. He's like, I know I can't run.
Tua has been injured before.
I'm talking about this season, since Tua's actually gotten an offensive mind that's allowing him to go through these different reasons.
Yeah, but being injury prone is reflective of your entire career.
Correct. I'm not saying Lamar's injury prone. I never said Lamar's injury prone. Shady said Lamar's not injury prone. I didn't say Lamar's injury prone.
He didn't say
never said Lamar's injury prone.
Yeah.
I do believe, however, at the point in which you get injured 1 year, the next year, that to me means something. It just starts to add up. I would rather you be like Burrow and get that injury and not miss again, or even Deshaun get that injury in 17 and not miss again.
But Acho, that's hard though. To not get injured, like everybody is gonna get hurt sometime, right? It's part of the game. That's what we sign up for.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate because Lamar Jackson, he got so much money on the line. But coming up, speaking of having things on the line, Bengals, Chiefs, a lot on the line in that one. It was the third straight time that the Bengals beat the Chiefs. But what did Joe Burrow